Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Smart Indian Agriculture on the federal.com. I am Vivian Fernandez. Could India become a net importer of cotton this year, defying the trend? Cotton production fell to a low of 31 million bales or 170 kgs each last year. This year, it is expected to recover. The Agriculture Ministry has projected an output of 34 million bales, but domestic demand remains strong. If India becomes a net importer, will it mark the beginning of a trend? The cotton economy is seeing some headwinds. Technology-led gains in output are petering out. There's a resurgence of pink bollworm, and weather is becoming even more erratic. To talk about the prospects of India's cotton economy, we have with us Dr. Charudatta Digambar Rao, or D Mayee, and Mr. Bhagirath Chaudhary. Dr. Mayee was former director of the Central Institute of Cotton Research, Nagpur, and also chairman of the Agricultural Scientists Recruitment Board. Mr. Chaudhary is founder director of the Jodhpur-based South Asia Biotechnology Center. Both are active in the field, educating and training farmers on how to prevent pink bollworm infestation. Dr. Mayee and Bhagirath, thank you very much for being on this show, and thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
Dr. Mayee, cotton prices this year are quite high. The Agriculture Ministry says there's a recovery in production. Do you expect prices to sustain?
Yeah, I think what I find that the prices will be around 10,000. That is my expectation. But last time what has happened is because there was a lot of shrinkage in the production, the prices went up to even sometimes 13,000 per quintal seed cotton. Now the farmers, I always said that the farmers used to cry about MSP earlier. Last year nobody cried because the production was half, but the price was doubled, so they could get everything. They were very happy. Now this year, I think the production, what the present government has projected, 34 million bales, I suspect that it will still grow up, mainly because of the fact that in central India, the very heavy rains. There has been some damage, no doubt about it, but there is a fast recovery also once your rain stops. And cotton is such a plant that suppose the first and second picking goes down, there will be third, fourth, fifth picking. And that's how there will be a tremendous kind of a composite. So I expect 350 lakh bales or almost 35 to 36 million bales this year, as we have almost increased area to nearly now 13 million hectares. You see, Tamil Nadu is yet to grow his Rabi cotton, and today is already 29. So I think it will touch 13 million hectares. So there will be an area increase. So expected that the cotton yields will be good. And as you said, your first question, that it will sustain the price in spite of the fact that there will be an increased yield.
Bhagirath, I mean, what is the reason for the prices to be so high? Because Dr. Mayee is saying that production is going to increase despite some bad weather. So if production is going to rise, then why are prices going to remain strong? One of the reasons, of course, is because there has been a demand from the yarn sector.
Yeah.
But we have now come across reports that the United States has banned apparel imports from Xinjiang province in China, and Xinjiang province supplies about 1.5 billion pieces of apparel to the United States. And the reason why the United States has banned imports from this province is because of the persecution of Uyghurs who follow the Islamic faith. Now, because of the reduced demand from Xinjiang, do you think that India's demand from the yarn industry will decrease, and therefore there will be a decrease in domestic cotton consumption as well?
Thank you, Vivian. First of all, I concur with what Dr. Mayee just now allured. I would like to make a couple of points actually in response to the query that you raised. You know, globally, there has been a supply-demand gap in cotton, which is actually increasing last two years that we've seen post-COVID-19. This year, there has been a serious questions mark that being raised on the ability of China to produce sufficient quantity of cotton. Same is with Brazil and United States. So global supply would remain tight. I think because of that, we have seen significant increases in prices. I think in the history, of cotton production, first time, as Dr. Mayee said, farmer truly getting I think the return on investments that they have been making on cotton. And I think it's a market that has boosted the morale of farming community. I believe we have seen already the arrival of cotton in the market. There has been a tapering of the cotton market prices that we've seen from 10,000 coming down to 8,500 in northern part of the country. I believe for next couple of weeks, we'll see slight tapering of cotton prices. Farmers should not be dissuaded. They should try to, have cotton that they can retain. The prices would surely be, sought up. And I hope that, there would be a booster for farming community as the cost of production has also been increasing tremendously. As regard to the American ban on import of clothes from Chinese province, I think it's a international phenomena that's happening. It will impact I think yarn export from the country. I think we're going to have little, knee-jerk impact. We already know that spindles are not working at the optimum capacity at this point of time. So there would be some lull period in cotton dynamics. But I believe for farming community, it's a cotton seed they can retain at their store or maybe Geners or in store facility, and prices would be the good, as Dr. Mayee had just now alluded. Thank you.
Dr. Mayee, if China is going to demand buy less of cotton from India, is that shortfall going to be met by other countries, let's say Bangladesh or Vietnam, which are big exporters of apparel?
See, one thing, Vivian, you have to understand that these are 4 or 5 big players in cotton exchange. First is United States, China, India, even now Pakistan. Yeah, Pakistan's situation has become so worst because of these floods. Now they were expecting 110 lakh bales. It has come down to 65 now. See, this is China is expecting nearly 25% reduction because of floods. United States, it is totally wipe out because of entire Texas is drought. Australia is drought, something which is unimaginable. But this, because cotton is an international commodity, you can't hold cotton only what is happening in India. So we have to see. Now, what your question is perfectly right. Even if China is not buying cotton from us, we have Bangladesh is our regular buyer, and Bangladesh has a wonderful capacity for the cloth making spindle because of labor issues. So, but only I am worried. Why our people are worried about it, because China, when the US government has stopped Chinese clothes, the entire yarn will be shifted to India. See, that is another sort of problem. And once they throw that yarn at a cheaper rate, then our industries will be a little reluctant to buy our own things. So these are all intermixed issues. But I am sure my only concern is basically with the farming community. And what we have done, we are assuring them that don't worry, it will be above 9,500, 10,000 in sometimes maybe. You wait till November, December, and don't have any panic sale to be done. Immediately, as he said that in the north, opening was a little reduced, it was tapering down. But now again, it will increase because of the international scenario.
Mm-hmm. So the minimum support price is about 6,800, 7,000 rupees per quintal. Now, you are saying that farmers should hold on. Do they have the holding capacity? Because we find that in the case of cereals, for example, farmers do not have the holding capacity. Correct. Is it different in the case of cotton?
No, it is. See, what is happening today, there are now people who have, particularly in Maharashtra, I have seen that earlier there used to be an individual farmer who was trying to keep cotton. But today there are some very good farming sort of groups are formed. And now these groups are helping each other. That is one reason what I find that now they can retain. Fortunately, Maharashtra has yet to start our sell. It will start only after Diwali because there has been delay because of continuous rains. It is suppressed. So it will start after Diwali. And by that time, the north sell, which is I'm already tapering to something like 8,500, but it will always be above MSP. You don't think. See, in the history of cotton, there are only 2 years where the cotton prices have gone down below MSP. Otherwise, it is always above. It is because this commodity is such that there is a heavy demand everywhere. So I think that farmers holding capacity is one issue, as you have rightly said. Some of them may sell it because they want, but the central India, where the dryland agriculture farmers, the actual cotton will come only after Diwali. And by that time, I'm sure that it will touch something like 9,500 to 10,000.
Mm-hmm. So, no, India has been a net exporter of cotton since about 2002, when genetically modified BT cotton was introduced. So you expect the trend to continue because of adverse weather in many of the cotton exporting countries like USA, China. Cotton using countries like USA, China, Australia, and other countries. So you think that India will remain a net exporter of cotton? Dr. Mayee?
I think India will still remain, but the quantum of export, I am sure that it will reduce to some extent. Mainly because of the fact that last year, actually, if you see the balance sheet of cotton, we have very minimum cotton left. And that is where I think we will have to see that how much really consume. Because normally about 280 to 290 lakh bales is our regular consumption in this country. So if something extra, and now there are people have already added more capacity for spindle, more capacity for the processing. So naturally, I think it will be say something like 280. So if I touch something like 35 million bales, there will be a quota which can be sold for. And particularly Bangladesh is just waiting. Fortunately, now Honorable Gadkari Sahab has done wonderful job that near Nagpur, there is a place called as Sindhi. There is a dry port created. Now, earlier, our cotton from Vidarbha used to go all the way to Jawaharlal Nehru, that port. From there down below, and all sea route it will go. But today, there is a wonderful mechanism where we can directly send it from Sindhi to Chittagong. So there is a new avenue has been created. Mm-hmm. So I think export will take place. But as I said, the quantum, I am sure, will be reduced a bit.
Mm-hmm. Now, Bhagirath, let's talk about the prospect for the cotton economy in future. Now, we have seen that because of BT cotton, genetically modified BT cotton, our production has increased, not because of yield improvement, but because there has been a reduction in the loss caused by the American and pink bollworms. Okay. Now those technology-led gains are petering out because no new bollworm technology, control technology, genetically modified bollworm control technology has been approved after 2006. And we find that there's always a constant battle between nature and science. And ultimately, if science does not keep up, nature will triumph. So do you think that there is scope for increasing cotton yield and output with the existing technology?
Thank you, Vivi. First of all, I think there were three important factors that led to a significant increase in productivity and production that we've seen in the last 20 years. I think it was the introduction of BT technology that allowed farmers to save losses that being caused by pests like Helicoverpa, Misera, and pink bollworm. I think the BT actually drove the largest adoption of hybridization in cotton. As Dr. Mayee knows it, and he was at the helm of the affair, by 2002, we had 40% of the total cotton area under hybridization. But in 20 years period, what we've seen is that cotton hybridization has improved by 95%. So those genetic gains from hybridization has also added to the production that we've seen. I think third important factor that we have discounted all the time was that cotton became much more remunerative than other crops. And because of that, we've seen large increase in area under cotton in the country. So I think, BT was a trigger, but then, you had these multiple factors that led to tripling of cotton production from 13 million bales to 35, 36 million bale that we see today. This is a phenomenal, unparalleled increase in production of any of the commodity globally that we've seen in India. The trigger from technology has helped us. I think we are waiting for the second generation, third generation trigger to happen. Since 2013, we have seen that yields are either stagnant or decelerating in some areas, a lot of pressure on cotton supply chain. We have seen farmer also dealing with lots of this pest problem that has developed resistance to BT technology.
Yeah.
Dr. Mayee, what is the technology option that the government can give? Because I think there is some hesitation about genetically modified technology. But is there any other alternative to control the borer insects, whether it's American bollworm or pink bollworms, other than genetically modified technology about which the government has reservations for ideological reasons? Do we have any other option?
You have very rightly raised this question. It's a very important question. When on one side government is reluctant to give any permission to new genetically modified crop, what are the other options with us? You see, we have realized, myself in AgroVision and SABC, that if government is not giving, should we sit silent? No. What we did is, first thing is on pink bollworm, which actually has really almost 2017-18 onwards created havoc in many of the fields of central India. And last year it was done in North India. Okay. Now we said that let us first, what to do is to educate the farmers. They should not be afraid that pink bollworm, they have come, I have nothing. See, we have several solutions, and you will be happy to know that 4 years, what we call it as a digital campaign, even float village by village, 1 lakh posters in the Gram Sabhas, hoardings on all bus stations, radio jingle. We have all kinds of mechanism by which farmers will be thrown into what are the possibilities by which, without using anything, can you control pink bollworm. Today,
Dr. Mayee, let me interrupt you. You said that pink bollworm is causing havoc. Now, many of our viewers do not know much about the cotton anatomy, cotton epidemiology and all that. Could you just tell them what is this pink bollworm and American bollworm all about? Very shortly, because we do not have much time. And what is the kind of havoc they are causing?
See, what happens is pink bollworm actually enters the boll right at the square stage. When there is a square formation, you see in cotton first is square formation, then you have slowly the boll formation. And this particular pest is not like American pest. American pest you can see, but here it goes right into the boll, right at the development stage. And that's why it becomes very difficult to control that. So that is what the life cycle. And then when you open the boll, it is all spoiled. There is the cotton is brownish, and then most of the locules are all damaged. So this is where we have to see that how farmers can be taught as to how to control it at that particular stage. Egg formation.
I'll interrupt you. And the pink bollworm not only affects cotton, it also affects the seed. So it affects the oil production as well as the oil cake.
Yeah, that's why what we said is that the major culprit sometimes is the geners. In Punjab, I always tell them that unless you control the pest right in the geners, because from there it will the moth will emerge, because those are eggs that are inside. And this we have already shown. Wherever there is a gening center, the cotton nearby is havoc. So that is what I find. So there is so all this, what we did is, we have pheromone traps posted in the gener. And fortunately, all geners have cooperated in Maharashtra. And that's how we could. So 4 years campaign has helped. And now we have brought, I think Bhagirath will tell you about the new technology without even GM. How can we control it?
All right. Bhagirath, pink bollworm infestation was a severe problem in the United States. Now, how did the United States control it? And are there lessons for us from that country?
Yeah. America has always been at forefront of use of technology to in agriculture that we have seen over many centuries. In case of pink bollworm, United States in 2002 launched a massive PBW eradication program. This was done by the government of America. In 2018, they came out with the proclamation, and I want to show you the copy of the proclamation by the Ministry of Agriculture of the United States of America here, where they declare that the US is free from pink bollworm. So they use basically three important technologies. Number one, they ensure that the BT has adequate expression and use of refuse in bag as a refuse, so that it can continue to harbor susceptible moth, so that the resistance doesn't build up. The second, America, what they've done is they use this very innovative mating disruption technology, where they're using sex pheromone that you can see from this particular rope. This is the exactly rope that they used, in which they have they encase the sex pheromone, and they tie it to the cotton plant. It continues to releases the pheromone, and this rope acts as a female, and therefore confuses male to find the female and mating to occur, and therefore substantially reduce the pest population.
So what Bhagirath was saying is that the Americans ensured that the cotton plant had enough toxicity, the BT, the toxin derived from the soil bacterium, BT bacteria, so that plant had adequate toxicity so that it could kill the bollworms. And secondly, they used the sex scents to confuse the bollworm and to produce more male sterile moths. Now, are we doing that? Because I think you are using sex scents in this country to do a similar thing. How successful have you been?
See, it was, let me tell you, we have been doing it on 300 acres. See, why Americans are successful? Mainly because there are large farms, and this technology requires large farms. So what our approach was, that can all these farmers come together? We have done it in Nagpur last year on 300 acres. 60 acres was minimum cluster. Like 5 clusters we have done, and you will be surprised that all these farmers were educated as to how to do it. And we have recorded entire data in 300 acres. We have I think, about more than 2.5 to 5 quintals extra yield which we have obtained, and there was no bollworm. So same thing is now we are doing it on repeatedly on nearly, I think, 17 clusters, Bhagirath? Yeah. In Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. So we are now trying to see. There is one wonderful thing which has happened because of this technology is community approach of management. I was very happy that now farmers have realized that I am single, 2 acres is no meaning. Unless I join hands with so many people, no pest can be controlled. You see, that was the initial our way of telling people. But unfortunately, they were not following. But now with this technology, they have to follow compulsorily. So we said that come 60 acres together.
Because there's no point in controlling the pest in one field if it can go to the other field. So you got to adopt a community approach. Now, Bhagirath, you wanted to say something.
Yes. So pheromone, I want to say a few.
Bhagirath, don't go into too much of technicality because it goes over our heads.
We used to apply the pheromone for monitoring and mass trapping. This you must have seen in the past. Now what we are doing is that we have increased the concentration in this through rope called PB node. It got 140 milligram scent. It releases scent, for more than 90 days, and the mating doesn't happen. We have seen more than 90% mating disruption. We have seen 50%, quality in terms of ball flower counts that we have reported. This year, we have India's largest program, over 1,300 acres, that is right now in place. And we have a significant result that's coming from northern part of the country. I hope, the mating disruption.
And where did you import? I mean, are these sex scents manufactured in the country or are they imported?
So this is basically a Japanese technology that is being imported by PI industry. And we are demonstrating this big project under Project Bandhan, this PB node technology, and data are being recorded so that it's kind of a large experiment come demonstrations to convince farmer the utility of this technology. We have seen some remarkable results using this PB node, and I hope this will become very important.
Government is also coming forward now. Government is also coming forward to reuse the technology.
No, Bhagirath, earlier in our conversation, background conversation, you were telling us that the US also released a large number of sterile moths. Dr. Mayee, do you think that India should do the same thing, or are there other kind of environmental consequences if you do that?
There will be again, you see, the moment you want to read something like it will be all in the genetically technologies, and then they, like mosquito, they were trying. So I would say that first is as a community approach followed by these technologies. I think we'll be able to control pink bollworm, and we can increase yield, which we have already demonstrated.
So you are saying that even without genetically modified technology,
yeah,
we can control the pink bollworm.
Excellently, yeah. And then some of these dryland areas, Maharashtra, which are using drip irrigation, let me tell you, the fantastic results of drip irrigation. And the yields are even better than Punjab and Haryana, because these soils are very good actually for it. But only thing is now we have to, that's why I always call, why not precision agriculture in cotton? If you are using it in grapes, why not use it in cotton? Then you can produce whatever. We don't need so much of area. We don't need so much of area.
So you use drip irrigation for not only watering, but also to supply the nutrients, fertigation.
Correct. Fertigation.
Yes. Dr. Mayee, earlier in this show, Bhagirath was saying that BT cotton technology reduced the cost of cultivation because you had to use fewer sprays. So the number of sprays that were used to control the American bollworm came down drastically. Now, at the same time, we saw that there was an increase in spraying to control the sucking pests.
Correct.
And some years back, Dr. Swaminathan, MS Swaminathan, he said that in nature there seems to be a balance, that if you control one kind of pest, there's a resurgence of other kind of pest. Is that how it operates in nature? That is this a zero-sum game?
Bhagirath, would you like to answer?
Sir, see, I really want to, because we are running out of time. I want to actually convey 3 important messages, very, very important. Number 1, our country has to launch a mega technology mission on cotton too. Dr. Mayee has been advocating. Otherwise, we'll always dependent on this import-export game. Second, we must look at innovative BT technologies, next generation, not only with pink bollworm, but also with whitefly and all kind of viruses. And through genome editing, we are able to do it. Third, we must utilize these new emerging innovations like mating disruption, so that farming community can be given technological options so that they can continue to produce sufficient quantity of cotton for the country and for our textile industry. These are the 3 important points that I would like to
I just add one more
on this.
Plethora of hybrids. We have not bothered whether we have used any resistant material in cotton for sucking pest. There is no necessity of BT technology everywhere. We have wonderful material genetically. Now, based that material hybrid technology, we can use it. That is what we are trying to do in now HDPS technology in all new hybrid technologies. I think we are using those lines. But what happens is, it is blindly permitted. Every hybrid is permitted. I think we have to restrict that. So some control, or if you talk it as a commercial crop, it has to be like tea and coffee. So naturally, you have to have all kinds of control.
I also asked you about whether, when you control the bollworms, is there a resurgence of sucking pests, Dr. Mayee?
No, you see, these are all biological phenomena. Once you have, I said that why there has been more spraying, it is not mainly because of sucking pest, but it is more because of pink bollworm problem. So, but those hybrids now, which are better in terms of sucking pest resistance, are used in technology. I think we are getting quite good amount of results. You see, Rachi's material, excellent material, which the company is now actually harnessing on that. And that's why they have better results all over the country.
And one final question, Bhagirath, we just have about 2 minutes left. So this last question to Dr. Mayee. Cost reduction, sir. How do you reduce the cost of cultivation? Weed infestation is a big problem, as well as there's not enough labor available for cotton picking. So do you think that we should go in for mechanization?
Correct.
And is there any way of controlling the weeds other than with the with the weedicides? Yes.
We'll have to use, we'll have to use the technology. Already that's why HTBT has become popular, mainly because of the fact that there is no other alternative one. And then mechanization, everybody is trying. Most of the companies are trying. How do we really have pickers and everything? So unless we bring heavy mechanization in cotton, I think it will not be remunerative in future. That's a problem.
Dr. Mayee, mechanical picking is not so easy. After it's not as if you can just send a mechanical picker to an existing cotton plant. The cotton plants have to be reconfigured. They have to be of uniform height. They have to flower at the same time, and
Yeah.
they also should not be bushy. So there has to be a change in the anatomy. So is that research going on?
Heavily. Actually, most of the institutions, CICR and all that, even private industries, they have already come up with some of the hybrids which can go for HDPS and also for mechanical planting. There are several trials already conducted, but we are not yet getting a suitable kind of a model. But I'm sure that it will come within a year or two. You will have something in this particular thing.
Bhagirath, you have the last word.
I thank you so much. I would actually finally, I want to really urge the cotton hybrid seed companies that in order to sustain BT technology, they must provide this pheromone trap along with the BT cotton hybrid seed to the farming community. Pink bollworm can be managed if it can be monitored at a very early stage of infestation. So number one is that how can companies, use this pheromone trap technology? Secondly, I would also urge all the geners and spindles and the spinning companies to ensure that they provide sufficient quantity of trap around their ginning factories, seed cotton which they're keeping there, because there is a propensity of multiplication of pink bollworm in that location, and we need to have a cohesive approach so that India can remain competitive in cotton production in the future to come.
Yeah, that's right. We require a coherent approach, a cohesive approach with private players, companies, as well as the government joining hands together in a common effort. Bhagirath Chaudhary, Dr. Mayee, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.